All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So I am doing my weekly review of the AI sector. You know how much I love this AI sector, okay? And if today was not as good as it was, I was ready to come and be honest and be a little more bearish than I have been, okay? So I promise you I'm not here to be a fanboy. I promise you I'm not here to close our eyes when things are bad and still say rah 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 AI. That's not what my videos are about, and hopefully that's what you appreciate about these. Okay, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about the short seller attack stuff. So I did not read the actual initial comments that dropped, obviously from 30 plus almost to 20, right? I did read AI's reply today and I loved it. Okay, I am not a finance major. I am not some accountant or ecom professional. All right, that's not what I do. But C3 AI's reply was so well written, it was easy for me to understand it. Okay, the allegations were all financial, and basically the allegation said there was no reason that AI should have accounts receivable, and it was a fake way that they boosted their revenue. Okay, so what does that mean? Basically, they were saying AI should get they should get the full amount immediately once they make a sale. Like, there's no reason to say, here's the software, pay me in 9 months, 10 months. Okay, so AI's reply essentially was, hey, that's exactly what we did. We gave someone the software, they signed a contract, and they said that they're going to pay X amount of months later. In fact, they said that's very common across a whole mess of software people. Because again, no one wants to give a bunch of money today. They'd much rather make some terms and pay down the road, right? That's super common across any business. So AI simply said, look, the things that we're saying people owe us, they do. We have the contracts that are signed that also back up the fact that they do owe us this money, that the numbers are correctly, accounts receivable stuff, and that, again, AI is not randomly doing something shady that Adobe or some other software company wouldn't do. Okay, so I really like the reply. I rarely care about the news or anything like that, but yeah, when I care about something like I do the AI sector, I'm going to take that extra step deeper. Okay, so a little away from the lines as we normally do, but let's get back into what we normally do. And before we go deeper, real quick, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We're going to take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how this thing is setting up. We have our 5 moving averages. There are several support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we're done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can please subscribe, share, comment, anything you can do really does help with the YouTube algorithms, but honestly, just being here is super, super appreciated, okay? So let's get into it. Okay, so couple really important things to talk about. This 2061 support has been a beast, all right? We save it once, we save it twice, we save it 3 times, we save it basically 4 real times, a number of wicks that I didn't actually count. We've used this line a lot. I've always said support lines are really, really good, but once you've used them too much, they're going to break. It's kind of the same thing with the resistance line, right? You try to break it, you can't. You try to break it, you can't. You try to break it, and you finally do, right? Same thing with these. It can only hold the stock so much, right? So what does that mean for AI? Look, we must get back into, 2430, right? So 2430 is where this orange line is. You can see it on the box over there. We have to get over that orange line, all right? Let's just roughly call it 2450, right? But being under the 8 and the 20 is bad. I always say bad things happen under these 2 lines. The one thing that's kind of saving us is the fact that there is kind of a horizontal cluster here, right? We have 3 moving averages moving relatively tight. Hopefully, you go up, you come down, you go up, you just kind of oscillate on these, right? If we lose this line, we're for sure coming here. 17 is realistic. It actually is, because again, once you lose these 3, you only got these 2 left, right? And look, I will also say, if we lose the 200 at 1720, basically, the next ride down is 14, basically, just under 15, right? 1450. So, um, even actually this is there, so there's a plateau right here at 1450. There's another one right here. I mean, this thing could hit 1340, right? And again, I'm just more here giving you a non-fanboy view of this. You know I love the sector, right? But I actually love these lines more than any sector or stock. I promise you that much, okay? So if we cannot fall back into this cluster, this 20 I don't think can hold us one more time, maybe one time. I don't know if it can hold us two more times, you know what I mean? So yeah, and also just kind of looking at the lines, they're still kind of going down, right? This is a little, actually I would say the 50 is going a little more up than down. 20 definitely is not fantastic. It's yeah, I wish the line. Tomorrow's going to be important. Tomorrow we're either going to come back into the cluster, or honestly, we're going to see what 20 does. Maybe 21, 22. I think we would go to 22, then 20, then 17, or we would go 24.50, 27, hopefully 34 again, right? Maybe 30. So I think those are the steps up and steps down. It's just really all about what happens tomorrow. I think tomorrow is going to be the important confirmation that says, hey, we're staying here or we're going down there. What's the weekly looking like? Okay, we got to get back up to right here, right? And again, it's that 24, 25 number, right, that we were talking about on the daily. We have to come here at least. We actually got to go a little bit higher. We got to crack 25. We got to get to 24.95. I'll take 24.95. Get me over the 8 moving average on the weekly. Otherwise, again, this says 18 is kind of the next one. From there, it's that 17 that we just talked about. Otherwise, that's probably the safest thing at like that 15, 14 range that we talked about, right? So weekly is seeing a downtrend too. It's all about how tomorrow goes, and tomorrow should tell us how to feel about next week, okay? End of the weekly candle, end of the daily candle as well. So you know I'm watching this, that's for sure, right? I'm going to put NVDA, because honestly, Palantir's been a little bit of a sad story, okay? So look, we still have not been able to get over these last couple lines, okay? I remember saying that this 280 was going to be an interesting entry point if you hadn't got in. And it's funny that like it doesn't happen twice, right? Because it looked like it was going to go here. We then used the 8 as a bounce point to kind of actually get us back and never set off my alert. I know I have an NVIDIA alert over this line. And it comes back down, right? So again, I think, okay, I have said that AI is the Tesla, all right? Obviously, NVIDIA is a little more established, and it's not really fair to call this thing like General Motors or anything like that, because obviously Tesla was doing EV stuff well before any of those other ones were, right? But I believe NVIDIA is too established a company to consider it like a Tesla startup, right? Because we're talking about those early days when there was no EVs out there, right? Like we're talking about these early days where there's not a lot of AI stuff. Can you imagine how much AI is going to be in the next 10, 15 years, right? Again, I thought there was going to be a bunch of like 3D printers and stuff. So like, you know, my long-term view hasn't been perfect by any means, but AI seems to be here. NVIDIA has clearly been doing more with like chips and stuff like that, technology that revolves around AI way, I'm assuming way more and way longer, right? Because this is obviously a longer, more established, like look at the history here, right? Like let's just go to the yearly real quick. This bad boy's been around for a little more than 2 decades, right? Almost 2.5 decades. AI, this thing just started, right? So Nvidia for sure is going to be a powerhouse in the sector, but I think AI is a little bit more of the Tesla, and I'm not trying to take anything away when I say that about Nvidia. I really think this is the General Electric, or the General Motors, sorry, excuse me, and like it's not about the who started EV first. So hopefully that makes sense, okay? Spent a lot of time on that, and hopefully that didn't suck. But again, what are we looking at technically? All right, we're we're really struggling with that 180 line. It's not in the screen right now, but like this is a really important number, okay? And I'm very glad we've had that for at least a couple weeks. Once that breaks, NVIDIA should do really well, okay? Right now, the question is essentially this. Look, we've been riding the 8, we used the 20 once. We've now used it twice. Looks like we might have used it a third time, not technically, but close enough, right? It's the exact same comments on AI for this 20 line. Used it once, used it twice, used it 3 times, kind of used it this 4th time, right? You can only use it so many times before it cracks. And the real question is going to be, can we hit this and rock it up over the 280? Or are we actually going to lose the 20 moving average and fall down to this 50? Because look, that plateau right there lines up exactly with the 50 and then over the next couple days at least, right? And it seems like 240 is actually a decent target to put here. Because look, MACD seems like it's cooling off, right? It had a beautiful little uptrend. Now it seems to be going down. RSI technically is not good as well, right? It has the red over the green, and it's been high. It was at the 87s, right? So we needed a cool down for sure. So volume still doesn't look that bad, but look how fantastic it was versus this like 50-50 split here, right? So NVIDIA, there's a chance that it comes down to 240. It's all about how the 20 moving average reacts. Hopefully we do not go any lower than 260. Hopefully if we hit 260, that's the rocket point up to 280. Otherwise, 260 to 240 should happen like that. And roughly speaking, that's a 10% drop, right? So look, we haven't even touched the 50, right? So I'm not too worried about dropping to the 100 moving average yet, right? We've used this a couple times. Maybe we use this once and then go back up, right? That would be the goal. So I'm not going to be talking about dropping to 200 or lower until we see how the 50 plays out, all right? So hey, I appreciate your time so much. If you disagree with anything, throw it in the comments. Otherwise, thank you.